It's time to take a look inside ECSU Mighty Vikings basketball. This is Vikings Coaches Show on WRVS 89.9.
Coming to you from WRVS-FM studios on the campus of ECSU, this is Vikings Coaches Show. I'm Clay Mercer, and we're ready to talk Mighty Vikings basketball with ECSU Hall of Fame head coach Shawn Walker. Coach Walker, welcome back to the show.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Now remember, listeners, you have a chance to get your questions answered by Coach Walker. All you have to do is send us an email to WRVSFM@gmail.com, or you can reach us on Twitter at WRVS899. Now, of course, you hear Coach Walker's voice right now. It didn't sound like this last night. So, Coach, I was a little worried that your voice wouldn't hold up for today's show. How you feeling?
Yeah, well, I stayed up last night until about 2 in the morning drinking green tea. And then I heard about another concoction today. So I went to Walmart and got some throat coat or something like that. They call it, some kind of stuff, and some raw honey. And so it hadn't done that in a long time. So it lets me know we're back to basketball season.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I have to thank you again for pushing through all of that and joining us today. Real quick, let's get into last night's game. We already knew that it was going to be a stern test for our Vikings as UNC Pembroke made their way to the Vaughn Center, ranked 4th in the Division II Southeast Regional polls and recognized as one of the nation's top 30 teams in Division II. You brought up their resume in last week's show. It's pretty easy to see how good this team has been this season.
Oh, they're a really, really good team. They're a well-oiled machine, and a group of young guys that have been in that program for 3 years, 4 years, they just know how to play. They're aggressive, they're strong, they know what their talent is, and they kind of stick to it, and they have great coaching. There's no doubt about the reason that they're ranked so high in the country and in their region. They're a really good team.
Yeah, and just a quick fact for you listeners, the last time these two teams met on the court was back in the 1970-71 season, so it's been a while. And speaking of a while, this was the first game for ECSU in 7 days. Coach, any worries that the team would be a little rusty coming off the break?
No, I wasn't worried about our rust. I was worried about, more so where our injuries were. We are really broken up. We missed basically 3 starters last night. Tajay Byers is out. Shaheed Pettaway is out, and Zach Hobbs tried to play last night and just didn't work. So those are major contributors to what it is that we do. And so we practice hard, so I'm not so much worried about the layoff, but I was concerned and still am about where our quality depth is and where we're going to be able to find offense.
The Braves, just to recap the game, would use good three-point shooting to jump out to an 11-point lead early, but the Vikings will fight back in the paint as junior center Joseph Allen would score on a layup right around the 10-minute mark to cut the deficit to 5. And then there was a three-pointer by the Braves, David Strother, that would extend it to an 18-2 run for the Braves, and they would use that to take a 20-point lead into halftime. Coach, the fact that the UNC Pembroke Braves made 7 3-pointers wasn't as concerning probably as the fact that many of them were open three-point shots. You had to be frustrated with the Vikings' perimeter defense in the first half. If
I'm not mistaken, at this point, we have given up in 10 games almost 75 three-pointers.
Wow.
That's an enormous amount of three-point shots. I'm pretty sure. I'm not really sure how many they had last night, but if they had 10, 11, or 12, then we're at the number of 75, maybe more. So in a large part, sometimes we were in, as I tell our guys, we were in the room. We just didn't do a job. And it's very concerning. It is a concern that didn't just exist last night, but it's a recurring thing for us. And that is almost the best thing I say about the way we play is this. I don't get many surprises on game night. So we talk about those things and talk about those things and talk about those things, and we just got to continue to emphasize those things because we know what we emphasize is what our team eventually would begin to progress and be able to do. So it's very concerning. Our defense is very concerning, period, aside the fact that when Pembroke did miss they rebounded the ball. We gave up 30 offensive rebounds last night. That's losing basketball. There's no way that you're going to be able to win when a team misses 30 times and gets the rebound 30 times.
And I'm glad you brought that up. UNC Pembroke would also have the edge in rebounding with 13 offensive boards in the first half. They would only score 6 second chance points at the half, but I'm sure you agree that's way too many opportunities to give up.
We're not a good defensive rebounding team. And I think 2 shows ago, we talked about how when the shot goes up, we just stop playing. Last night, there was, sometimes one guy versus our 4, the one guy won. There's 2 guys versus our 5, the 2 guys won. We've got to be able to fix that. I will be very fair with you, honest with you. I don't know how to fix it at this point. That's part of the responsibility that I have, and I'm staying up at night trying to figure it out because that is a direct mechanism for losing and not being able to turn our season around. We've got to figure out how to fix that. Certainly that category is the difference between a top team in the country and right now where we are.
That would continue to be an issue for the Vikings heading into the second half, but ECSU would have come out with a little bit more energy as timely 3-pointers by sophomore guard Justin Faison and junior forward John Maynor sparked a 19-4 run that would trim the Braves' lead down to 5 with about 6 minutes to go. Coach, not the best showing by the Vikings up to this point, but the momentum was on our side.
We came out in the second half and we really played well, to be honest with you. I had a very animated conversation with them at halftime, talked about what my visual was in terms of whether or not we were actually competing, whether we were trying hard enough. And so my pledge to them in the second half, or for better terms, my admonishment to them was, let's not worry about the score. Let's just see if we can play hard. Let's just see if we can play hard. And I believe we came out and we took the fight to them. And before you know it, it's a 5-point game, a 6-point game, several different occasions, a game right there for us to win. I think we were down 6 at one point with the ball, come out, turn the ball over, they get a layup, turn it over again, they hit a 3, and now, again, momentum breaker. So, but it does let me know that it's in us and we can do it. And so we've got to figure out how to do it more consistently and make it an everyday thing so we can have a chance to win.
Yeah, and like you said, a few turnovers by ECSU would allow the Braves to build the lead back up to double digits, but the Vikings will go on another run, 11-4 run late to cut the game back down to 4. And that's as close as they would get, as costly turnovers and giving up too many second chance opportunities would allow UNC Pembroke to leave Elizabeth City with a 72-58 win. Coach, I could see the frustration from you throughout the game at numerous times. What concerned you the most coming out of this contest?
Wow. I mean, obviously my major concern is the 30 offensive rebounds. Yeah. I mean, they shot 73 times last night. That means 30 of those times they shot and missed. That's a major. I mean, I can't even put that into words. And then careless turnovers that we make. We are making plays that just don't make sense. Okay. Some of the passes that we make are clearly not our teammates are not open, and we're passing that ball anyway. So we've just got to be more fundamentally sound. We've got to figure out fundamentally how we can play better. When you turn the ball over 19 times, give up 18 points off your turnovers, give up 30 offensive rebounds, you're going to get beat. I don't care if you play against a top team in the country or you play against a high school team, you're going to get beat. So we've got to figure out how not let those things happen. We got punched in the mouth last night, entire first half before we started throwing haymakers in the second. Yeah. And so once we threw our haymakers and got Pembroke off balance, we went back to doing things that were direct correlations to them getting buckets without us being able to guard. We're looking forward to just continue to get better. What I would say to people at this point is, just watch us grow. Watch us grow. Obviously, we're not the team that I want us to be at this point. We're not the team that our players want to be at this point. But everybody showed up to practice today. Everybody's in practice working hard. The gym is filled with communication. So we are excited about how we're going to be able to grow and plant these seeds and make them beautiful plants here at the end. And So those are positive that we take out every game. At least we know that we can win and we can beat anybody if we will play this a certain way that they're being asked to play.
And Coach, you talked about it a few minutes ago. If the team comes out and competes like they did in the second half of last night's game, you can compete with anybody on that floor.
Absolutely. We just got to try hard. I mean, that obviously my words were probably a little bit different, but at the end of the day, it's about us trying and it's about us competing. It's about us, grabbing our shorts and actually believing that we can win. And so if you don't compete, you're not going to win.
That's right.
And uniquely, when the shot goes up, that is the greatest opportunity for competition in the game of basketball. When the shot goes up, because the ball doesn't belong to anybody. All right? All 10 guys can get a missed shot.
That's right.
All right? We are failing in that department. We are just failing in that department. And so, if you look at the history of basketball and look at the NBA, the toughest guys on the floor are the best rebounders. Like guys that don't mind their face getting broken up. Guys don't mind catching the elbow. They just go for the ball. Dennis Rodman's, Ben Wallace's, those guys who their task is just to come up with the ball. They're normally the toughest guys on the floor. So we've got to have 2 or 3 guys that want to be labeled the toughest guy on the floor.
4 Vikings would reach double figures in scoring. Maynard with 14, followed by Faison with 13, and Allen and Orlando Robinson each had 10. I think it's important to acknowledge, as we have already, the fact that several Vikings were out due to injuries. But before we get to some of the players that were out, one player made a surprising return last night, and we already talked about sophomore guard Zach Hobbs. He didn't play very long, only touching the court really in the first half. Give us an update on his status and other players that are dealing with injuries.
Yeah, Zach, my first premonition was not to play him last night anyway, and I wish I had not. Just dealing with some kind of strain in his knee. He wanted to play. He thought he was feeling well. I knew he was not himself early in the game. He missed a layup or so that he normally would make. He missed a couple jump shots, and then he tried to start the second half, and he just couldn't do it. So I'm not really sure if we're going to see him anymore before Christmas. So it does give other guys an opportunity to play and get valuable experience. Justin Faison is playing very well and fitting into the role that Zach would play. So it would be nice to have Zach and Justin playing out there at the same time. Tajay Byers, hopefully we'll see him here in the next day or so. He's got 6 stitches in his offhand, and he was unable to play. So hopefully he'll be able to play here in the next couple of days. And then Shaheed Petaway is dealing with a broken nose. He's got a broken nose on both sides of his face. So we're waiting for a mask to come, and he's on 4 to 6. So hopefully by the time we get back from Christmas, he'll be fully healed, but he'll be able to get back in the sideline and give us some kind of depth. So we are a little broken up right now, got a little nagging injuries, but this is college basketball. This is when one man goes down, it's going to give somebody else an opportunity to play and earn playing time. And we're also ravishing in this moment.
I agree. And the Vikings fall to 3-7 on the season, but no time to dwell on that game as the team is right back in action tomorrow night. It's the first of 3 straight home games as the Bears of Shaw roll into EC. Shaw stands at 5-2 on the season and boasts a very potent offensive game, averaging about 83 points per contest. Coach, their junior guard, Amir Hinton, is leading the nation in scoring. And when I say the nation, I'm saying all divisions of the nation at 34 points per game. It'll be a tough challenge in the Vaughn Center tomorrow night.
Wow, man. Amir Hinton is probably the best basketball player that I've ever coached against.
Wow.
All right. He is just that good.
That's saying a lot.
He may not make it in the CIAA for another year. He's a junior. He very well could get drafted this year. So you're talking about a guy going hardship as a Division II player. He's a very good player.
Wow.
But amazingly, he's just one of several really good players at Shaw University.
Yeah.
All right, Coach Joe Hopkins has done a phenomenal job. I don't even know how he's done it in going out and getting that many good players on one team. So tomorrow will be a challenge for us. But it's a CIAA play, so every game is going to be a challenge.
That's right.
And my focal point right now is to get my team to respect who our opponent is. Amir Hinton is a great player. But we got to compete. All right, I don't care who they have on the floor. And if we're a better team than Shaw can be tomorrow night, even with Hinton, then we're going to have a chance to win.
That's right.
And so we happen to start the conference play with the most talented player, and the most talented team that probably exists in the CIAA. Wow. So, we're hoping we can get some fans in here. Our students are gone. Last night, initially there was not a lot of people there, but once we start coming back, it sounded like the gym was rolling, right?
It really did.
So we're hoping that we can get some people in the building to cheer on the women and also the men. And it's an important CIAA contest that we need to try to figure out how to win.
It really is, and it's great to have it in the friendly confines of the Vaughn Center. Game time for that matchup with Shaw at 7:30 tomorrow. The Vikings continue their homestand on Saturday against St. Augustine's, and Fayetteville State comes in on Monday. These are games outside of the division, but this is a great opportunity for the Vikings to have their first 3 conference matchups right here at the Vaughn Center.
Absolutely, and all these opponents are tough opponents. The conference is very balanced this year. We're just looking forward to just having every night that we get a chance to compete. Talking to our players right now, all the students are gone. The campus is not as lively as it normally is throughout the course of the day. So I want to be sure that our players have not gone home for Christmas before it's time to go home for Christmas.
Yeah, understood.
So right now we're trying to keep them busy, keep them active, keep them in the gym, watching a lot of tape. Our main focal point right now is obviously Shaw. And getting ourselves ready and acclimating and healthy to be able to move through these next 3 games that are very important. Go home for Christmas, come back and try to do it again.
Definitely. As always, we invite all of you listeners to come out and support the Mighty Vikings. Get your tickets online at ECSUVikings.com. Coach, thank you so much for talking Vikings basketball with us, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
Sure thing. And basketball fans, stay with us. Coming up next, we'll talk with Lady Vikings head coach Antonio Davis. This is Vikings Coaches Show on WRVS 89.9.
Get your tickets now to see the Mighty Vikings in action online at ECSUVikings.com.
You want information about your business or organization heard by thousands of people?
Yes, sir.
You do not want to spend a lot of money to make it happen? We have just what you're looking for. Become an underwriter on WRVS-FM 89.9. Our listeners will hear your message during their favorite shows. Whether you enjoy the news of Morning Edition from NPR, the conversations of Cafe Mocha Radio, or any of our programming, you make the choice. Call 252-335-3985 or find us at ecsu.edu/WRVS to get started today.
As humans, we ask ourselves all kinds of questions. But what if we were forced to ask ourselves a question every day that affected the outcome of the most basic things, the most important things in our lives? The question is, what is your sexual orientation or gender identity? And the answer is the difference between keeping your job or getting fired. The answer is the difference between staying in your home or getting evicted. The answer is the difference between receiving medical treatment or not. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against people based on their answer to this question. LGBT Americans have the right to say I do, but they don't have the same basic rights as everyone else. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Basketball fans, welcome back to Vikings Coaches Show. I'm Clay Mercer, and now I have the pleasure of talking with ECSU Lady Vikings basketball coach Antonio Davis. Coach Davis, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure being here with our listeners.
Yeah, man, always a good time. And listeners, remember, you can have your questions answered by Coach Davis. He really wants to hear from all of you. So
Absolutely.
You can send an email to WRVSFM@gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter at WRVS899. Coach, this is an interesting time to be on campus. Of course, it's the holiday break, and the students, a lot of them are all gone, and there's no activities on campus, no classes. Is it easier to work with the team and keep them focused during this time?
It is. Actually, anytime you don't have classes, we get more time in the gym and in the film room. So we're excited about that time. So we try to take advantage of the holiday breaks and get a lot of work in. A lot of extra individual time.
Yeah.
Time for us to put in additional plays, additional defenses, add some things to the repertoire. So we certainly try to take advantage of the breaks at all times.
Definitely. And, well, Coach, speaking of focus, it seems like the team was really focused on getting a win this past Saturday as they traveled up the road to Virginia Beach to take on Regent. The game was played at Tallwood High School as the Royals are, in their first year of existence, and they don't have a really good home court yet. So, Coach, with all that said, did you have any worries that the team would overlook this matchup?
Well, as a coach, you constantly preach to your team, respect all opponents, but fear none. And as you said, being a first-year team, you always have a little concern about will we get a little complacent with the ball game. But pleasantly surprised and happy that we went in and took care of business against this team.
From the beginning of this game, you could tell that ECSU was just a little more gifted and talented than the Royals. First half was dominated by the Lady Vikings, scoring in the paint almost at will, 28 points in the paint compared to just 8 for Regent. ECSU also scored 23 points off of 17 Royals turnovers. Those are good numbers, and, Coach, I'm sure it was a very positive first half for us.
Sure. We wanted to get back in the rhythm, after our game against Claflin. And also coming off exams, we wanted to make sure that we got focused again, and it was a good ball game for us. We jumped on them early, and we were able to sustain the lead.
Yeah. Junior forward Nataria Luster poured in 29 and had 5 boards in the first half. Is this the most comfortable she's looked since the injury?
Sure. She was out a couple of weeks, as I'm sure the listeners know. And then she came back against Claflin and just trying to get back in the rhythm. She played some minutes against them and just was getting used to the new brace that she's wearing. So it was good to see her look like her old self, against Regent. So she was able to get up and down the court, which I was very pleased with because one of the best parts about her game is she runs the floor extremely well. So she was able to run and get out and get some easy buckets against them.
Really good to see her. And freshman guard Angel James had a good showing, also scoring 13 first-half points, including a couple from long distance. We talked about her previously on the show and the potential that she shows. This is just another example of how good she can be for this team.
It is. Angel is a very talented freshman. And you know how freshmen are. Sometimes it takes them a little time to get acclimated to, the college experience, the work level that it takes. So she's been getting adjusted, and the talent has shown, last, couple weeks, able to give us a couple double-figure games. And so we're looking for her to maintain some consistency. But that's always the key, especially with young players.
Definitely. The second half was just more the same, with ECSU continuing to dominate in the paint. Teasy would go on to have a double-double, 36 points, 10 boards. And the Lady Vikings would defeat the Royals 99-51. That's a high number. And, Coach, with a score like that, some would say that you gained very little. But I'm sure you would disagree with that notion.
No, I would disagree. The thing about our group, as I've mentioned before, we're a new group. And the core of our team are new players. We only have 2 returning players who are in our regular rotation. So each and every week we're trying to get better, each and every day. So I was looking for execution. I was looking for us to sustain a lead. We've had a couple of games where we led early and we kind of stayed, at a stalemate, or we gave up a little bit of the lead, even though we won the ball games. So I was looking for us to be able to extend the lead this game. So we did that. So I was happy with our mental preparation for this game.
4 players were scoring double figures, including junior guard Danae Holmes. She would have a double-double also, 10 points and 10 assists. This was the final tune-up for the Lady Vikings before heading into conference play. The first of 3 straight home games will take place tomorrow as the Lady Bears of Shaw come into the Vaughn Center. Shaw, out of the Southern Division, is 2-4 on the season. Coach, they're bringing in 2 of the top scorers in the conference right now. And 6'10 junior center Macy Keene, she actually just last week won the CIAA Newcomer of the Week award. And make no mistake, this is going to be a tough challenge to start the conference season off.
Absolutely. It's well known, the pedigree of Shaw University in the women's basketball in the CIAA, and they're always a formidable opponent, but we're looking forward to it. They're big, and they have some good guards as well. So it'll certainly be a challenge. As you mentioned, they have a couple of top scorers in the league, one from the guard position and one from the forward position, so it'll be challenging with their balance. But we're looking forward to the challenge and getting on track CIAA time.
Tomorrow's contest begins at 5:30, and you can get your tickets now online at ECSUVikings.com. Coach, you Speaking of Shaw, you spent a few years as an assistant coach over at Shaw, so you know the program pretty well.
Sure.
Do matchups against them stand out to you, or is it just another game on the schedule?
Just another game on the schedule. I was fortunate enough to be able to work with Jock Curtis over there. I call him the king because it's his success not only in the CIAA but nationally, having won a national championship over there. So I was able to work with him a few years and won championships with him over there and made multiple NCAA appearances. So it was a great experience. Great coach, but more importantly, a great human being. And I appreciate the opportunity that it gave me over there. So we look forward to the challenge, though. It will be a great ball game, and I have to get prepared. I know what he wants to do. He knows what I want to do. So it'll be a chess match. So I'm looking forward to it.
No secrets at all.
No secrets at all.
As I stated before, ECSU has 2 other conference games in the Vaughn Center. Saturday at 2 p.m., we host St. Augustine's, and Fayetteville State comes in on Monday. Tip-off for that one is 5:30. It's all cross-divisional play, but, Coach, important games nonetheless.
Absolutely. It's always important when you get into conference play, even cross-division. And as I mentioned earlier, it's just very balanced. You can't take anyone for granted. St. Aug beat Claflin this past week. Claflin came in and knocked us off here, and then went and knocked off nationally ranked Virginia Union. So just to show the balance of our league, and then they go in and lose to St. Aug. So it's going to be quite a task this weekend, but we certainly want to protect home court conference-wise.
This is going to be a big challenge down low for the team, no question. With Teasy being back and Devo playing pretty well, how important is it for them to play well, of course, tomorrow night? But this is an experience for them of what's going to come later in the conference. This is the conference season.
Absolutely, competition. Certainly, we like to play inside out, and we think we're balanced as well. We think we're pretty decent on the perimeter as well as in the paint. Shaw's big as well. They got a couple 6'4" kids, so they'll be formidable for us. But we look forward to that challenge. But again, we have to have balance on offense. We have to work it inside out. We can shoot the 3-ball, but that's not our strength in terms of numbers. We just don't want to come down and jack up the 3-ball. We want to work our offense inside out. So Shaw would be very challenging in that sense.
Well, Coach, good luck to you and the Lady Vikings, and we'll catch up with you again next week.
All right. We appreciate it always.
Remember, you can get your tickets and more information online at ECSUVikings.com and subscribe to the WRVS-89.9 YouTube channel to hear more from today's show. For Coach Davis and Coach Walker, I'm Clay Mercer. We'll see you next time for Vikings Coaches Show here on WRVS 89.